21 at the Big 550 KTRS. Paul Harris filling in for McGraw today. Callie Jackson's here in the studio. And Dr. Kelvin Adams is on our guest line now. He's a superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools who got some good news a few days ago when DESE, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, released its annual performance reports for districts and individual schools throughout the entire state. And the city of St. Louis schools, after 3 years on the wrong side of the ledger, have finally qualified again for full accreditation. Congratulations, Dr. Adams.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed being on your show this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice having you here. How did you do it?
I think it was the teachers and the principals and parents and the community all working collectively together to support the district, and just a lot of hard work. I think we understood what we needed to do, and we targeted our resources to do that. So
okay.
I'm really proud of the people who work in schools every single day in classrooms to make this happen.
So be specific. What was it you needed to do, and what was it you did to change it from the way it was a few years ago?
Specifically, we looked at those indicators that the state used to judge the district, i.e. Attendance. And so we looked at making sure that we were working really hard to get every single student in school on time every day. And so that took the transportation department, it took parents, it took us calling parents to make sure that children were in school. We also needed to make sure that we had more students taking higher level courses like advanced placement and IB, International Baccalaureate courses. And so we made sure that that was taking place in our high schools. We had to make sure that we were also graduating more students. So we worked really hard to increase the number of students who graduate from high schools from about 67% to about 76%. And we also followed up on students who were also graduating to make sure they were in colleges or working on a career. And so those are some of the kinds of things we did just on the data side. On the academic side, we made sure we doubled down on courses like reading and English and math and science and social studies, and made sure we had the best teachers in those classrooms, while we also collected data to make sure that throughout the course of the year, teachers were actually teaching the things that students needed to know for the state assessment. So that's just, in a detailed way, those are the kinds of things we did, and we did it every single day. And we called principals and teachers in on a regular basis 3 or 4 times a year to make sure that they were doing exactly what we wanted them to do.
One of the first things you mentioned there was parents, particularly when it comes to attendance. But this is a part of the education equation that I think has been ignored far too much in this country, and that is the involvement of parents in their children's education. We have too many moms and dads who get the kid to the school and then figure, okay, everything else in their educational life is the school's responsibility. I feed them, I clothe them, I get them to the school. That's all I have to do. But there's really a lot more, isn't there?
It's so much more. It's a lot of hard work to be a parent, especially I think in our times with all the kind of competitions around working really hard and having 1 or 2 jobs. And so what we've tried to do is to intentionally work with parents who are having difficulty getting children to school, and also those who don't seem to be as involved as they need to.
When I say that your schools have become
2 hours a day, it has to be an all-day job as you follow up and work with schools to make sure children are getting the kinds of things they don't get, and really, frankly, holding us accountable when we don't do what we need to do.
Yeah, well, there has to be accountability there both ways. I don't mean that the schools have to hold parents accountable, but schools can certainly remind parents of what their role is here, because they are really the first line in the education process for all of these children. So
no doubt about that. You are 100% correct.
When you got this full accreditation memo from the state last week, did it outline for you which of the schools have achieved full accreditation? In other words, is this an overall thing, or is it specific to each individual school within the St. Louis Public Schools?
So the way it works is the district gets the status of being full accredited, and so it's a district piece, so it's for the entire district. But in that, we look at individual schools. So what we've done is we've taken the same standard that the state uses on a global level, and we look at it every individual school. So we know that we've reduced the number of schools out of about 69 schools in 2014-15 that were unaccredited. There were 33. The number is down to 15 now. We know that the number of schools that are considered distinguished have gone from 6 to 12. So we know individually where schools are and how they're doing, so we can put more resources in those schools and hold people accountable in those buildings as well. So your question is it a global district accreditation? The answer is yes. But what we do is we look at it individually because we know it rolls up into a total at the end of the year.
So moving forward, what will this mean for the district? I can only assume that this will attract teachers. I don't want to say better teachers, but, it would be more attractive for teachers who are seeking employment, not going to a district that is unaccredited. But what else would it mean?
I think what we have done right now is we sent on last Thursday a letter to the state, to the Department of Education, requesting that they grant us full accreditation. Well, we have a standard to do so. The state has to formally make a decision to do so, meaning the State Board of Education. I would suspect that they're going to make that decision sometime in the next 35 days. And so that's the first step. The second step, to your point, is to try to make sure the public knows by advertising and making people aware where we are. While it's a great story, it's not a great story if it's not a story that gets out, that people understand and know what's actually going on. And then we believe, to your point, that we will start seeing more students come back to the district and teachers and administrators who want to work in a district that is fully accredited. So I think it's just the first step. We have so much work to get done. This is just one guidepost. We have a lot of work to still get done because we still have kids who have challenges in schools that have issues that we have to address. So while I'm really pleased about the work that has been done, I am also excited about the work that still has to be done.
When you talk about bringing kids back to the district, that's because once the district lost its accreditation, under state law, kids could then transfer to other schools, and the city schools had to pay for it. Do you know what that number was?
It never really affected us because based on the lawsuit, it didn't occur for us. It has happened to Riverview and Normandy, but at the time that we went through this, we were unaccredited, and we received provisional accreditation 3 years ago, and so it stopped for us. It never really happened because it was in litigation until that time. Once the Supreme Court approved the fact that it could take place, we were at that time provisionally accredited, and it doesn't affect provisionally accredited or fully accredited districts.
All right, last question I have for you, Dr. Adams, is that President Obama and the Federal Department of Education have been talking in the last couple of weeks about kind of reversing some of the things from No Child Left Behind, and in particular, the whole concept of teaching to the test. What are your thoughts on that?
I wholeheartedly agree. I couldn't agree anymore. I think there's been overemphasis on standardized assessments and really not minimizing what teachers feel how students are doing. So I think the president is moving in the right direction in terms of that. The assessment should be used to make decisions to support students, not necessarily to judge students. It's like we could keep weighing the pig over and over and over again and believe that that's going to make a difference in terms of the pig's weight. That's not going to make a difference. What's going to make a difference is what we feed him, what we don't feed him. And so I think the assessment should give you some indication of where kids are, but then you should use that data to make decisions about how to support kids. And doing it every single week or every single month is not the way to do it.
Very well said. Dr. Kelvin Adams, the superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools, congratulations and continued success.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. Thank you both.
You're very welcome. Coming up on 6:30, this is the Big 550 KTRS.
I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to listen to Hockey Sense with Jamal Mayers and myself during the Big Sports Show, 6:30 to 9 tonight on the Big 550 KTRS.
October 30th, Dear Santa, I hinted to my hubby Bill that I'd love a gas log fireplace for Christmas from St. Louis Home Fires. He says he'll build one instead with his buddies. What a guy! November 14th, Dear Santa, Bill and his buddies bought supplies and beer. The supplies are gathering dust. The beer's gone. He says, don't worry, there's plenty of time. November 30th, Dear Santa, Christmas is almost here and still no fireplace. December 25th, Dear Santa, our holiday family gathering in front of our new gas log fireplace was fabulous, thanks to St. Louis Home Fires. The only one left out in the cold was Bill.
I'm freezing! Don't be left out in the cold. St. Louis Home Fires certified technicians can install a fireplace in your basement, new addition, or an existing room. And with a gas log fireplace, there's no piling of wood, no struggles to light it. And vent-free gas logs will keep you warm if your power is out.
Talk to St. Louis Home Fires sooner, rather than later, to have yours in by Christmas.
St. Louis Home Fires on Manchester between 141 and Clarkson. Online at stlouishomefires.com.
Take your fantasy draft to Buffalo Wild Wings, the only place as obsessed with football as you are. Wall-to-wall TVs, great food, and
5 seconds.
E-dubs. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
6:31 at the Big 550 KTRS. Let's check those roads. Here's Tim.
All right, they're still working. It's either a stall or an accident. One report says an accident, the other one says a stall, but it's on the ramp from eastbound 364 on to southbound 270, and that's causing delays in that right lane on 364 from Bennington Place. Now, it looks like northbound 55 is running slow south of Butler Hill in the two right lanes.